Koholo, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ruach HaKodesh. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine. To the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. Exposed. Canada used the situation to align itself with World Economic Forum agenda. I'm going to skip to the main points. Canadian independent media outlet Rebel News has procured documents showing that Justin Trudeau and the rest of the Canadian government took full advantage of the situation as a vehicle for better aligning the country with the Great Reset agenda of the World Economic Forum. Access to Information Act, ATIA filings, which are similar to Freedom of Information Act filings here in the United States, produced numerous documents showing that then Minister of Foreign Affairs and Head of Global Affairs Canada, Chrystia Freeland, conspired with others to turn Canada into a globalist type place. The uncovered briefing notes were made in preparation for the official Great Reset meeting that was held with the WEF on December 8th, 2020. Freeland was a meeting co-chair, as were government officials from Japan, the Netherlands, and South Africa. Kent Walker, Senior Vice President of Global Affairs at Google, and Dinah Powell McCormick, a partner at Goldman Sachs, were also co-chairs at other WEF meetings. Freeland's direct involvement in these meeting points to the fact that Canada has either already embraced many of the WEF's Great Reset goals or is at least moving in that direction. And we know that these goals are just what Esau Edom wants, which is the biblical name of the so-called white man. The Great Reset aims to enslave everyone under Esau, it reads. But they can't enslave everyone because they have to understand that there's an elect, a residue, all right, who have the mark of exemption on them, the mark of Yahushai HaMashiach. Excuse me. As was stated at the WEF meetings, one of the primary goals of the Great Reset is to forge global partnerships between governments and multinational corporations. The situation or the plague was used as a cover to accelerate the achievement of this goal. Right? Because we can't forget that evil doesn't sleep, and neither does good. Proverbs 11:1, right? A balanced scale. No, a false scale is an abomination unto the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yashai, but a just weight is his delight, roughly paraphrasing. So here are the goals. 7 primary goals within this were also established. Strengthening global cooperation, re-globalizing equitability, right? Or equitability. And what does that mean? That means fair and impartial. Okay. Re-globalizing equitability, rebuilding sustainability, deepening public-private partnerships, increasing global resilience, promoting peace and security, promoting gender equality. All right, I'm going to stop right there. Oh, no, I'm not. So it says here they have an agenda, right? Agenda 2030 in Canada was also part of Freeman's main objective with her WEF work. All right, so the Agenda 2030 involves at least 17 different development goals and 169 additional sub-targets, all which are meant to be implemented by the year 2030, which we don't have until. All right, so that's probably code for another year. That's it probably means months from now, because we don't have until 2030. So here we go. It says, if successful. Okay, so now we understand this point, but I want to focus on these 7 primary goals. We know that 7 means completion. All right, and on the left-hand side, we know that this is what they completely want. I mean, just look at the Georgia Guidestones. If the Georgia Guidestones weren't real, then why weren't they removed? And that's just one example, right? We have the interview with Aaron Russo, and most importantly and above all, we have the scriptures outlining what the evil man, the wicked, what Esau, Edom wants to do. So let's get the scripts. This is Proverbs 11 and 21. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. All right, we know that the wicked starts with Esau, Edom, and then it trickles down to 2/3 of our nation and the heathen nations. All right, it doesn't matter if they all come together and it's like the Tower of Babel all over again. Though they think they can exalt themselves, they will come crashing down in the worst ways. And it also goes on to say, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. And that is basically what they mean by globalization, a one world government. All right, it's global. I mean, it's even in the name. This is Ecclesiasticus 13 and 4. If thou be for his profit, he will use thee. But if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. And if you read a bit more up, it's talking about the rich man, which in this modern day sense is talking about Esau, Edom, right? How is this just gonna happen just because they sat in a board meeting? No, it has to come through the backs. I mean, I'm just gonna get to the bottom line, man. It's gonna be coming off the backs of mostly Jake. I mean, that's how any country has been built up. As Israelites, we're the strongest. We're connected to Yahweh Shai. No other nation can say that. So of course, if you want to build an economy, if you want all this equitability and all this bullshit, it has to come off Israel. And Esau, Edom knows this, because they know that they have all the other nations in their pockets already. It's just Israel is a wild card because we have the elect, and not only do we have the elect, we also have the Israelite foreigners. But it does say in scripture that the deceived and the deceiver are his. Ultimately, Yahweh Shai has it set up this way. So though hand join in hand, you can have the Hamites and the Moabites and Esau, Edom all coming together, they will not go unpunished. This is all just biblical prophecy. All right, now going back to the Ecclesiasticus, ultimately, once this plan, although this plan won't be achieved, but let's just say for argument's sake, it was on its way to being achieved. What do you do with your servants after they're done serving you? You discard them. You have no reason for them to be around anymore. All right, Esau, Edom is only doing this because they think they can be like Yahweh Shai, and they will destroy anyone and anything to get in that way. But just like a beach water or an ocean or whatever can only go so far up into the beach before Yahweh Shai brings it back into the ocean, that's the same thing with Esau, Edom. They can only go so far. All right. Because it's funny, because what Esau, Edom thinks they're doing is ultimately going to be done to them. Once Esau, Edom is done serving Yahweh Shai for whatever Yahweh Shai has purposed them to ultimately do, which, thankfully, we know, it's basically an usher in prophecy. He's going to Obadiah 1 and 18 them. So this is Revelation 13 and 10. All right, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And Esau Edom as well, ultimately it's Yahweh Shai, but he has Esau Edom at the forefront of this. Just look at secular history. Who's been doing most of the enslaving? It's been Esau Edom. And they've done it so much that their ultimate punishment, their ultimate reward, not just for one Edomite or majority for them, but their whole nation, is that they're going to be put into the ultimate captivity. All right, because imagine going into captivity, right, and your master follows all 613 laws. In a righteous sense, we kind of are, if you think about it, because Yahushua said, take my yoke, for my yoke is not grievous. It's very manageable. But that's on the right-hand side. Now, for Esau Edom, we're going to be under the 613, being able to do anything within the confounds of what Yahweh Shai allows us to do. Can you imagine the hell we can inflict on them? Not to mention with spiritual powers. But jumping back to this article, right? So with this globalization shit, I mean, if you just look at it, it's ultimately just slavery. That's all it really is. I mean, let's just get to the bottom line, man. All these fancy words, all these sentences, it should just read, the one primary goal is to enslave. And how are we going to do that? We're going to use the RFID microchip. Boom, news article. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Okay, now we see no one's running around really with swords these days. So what's the most modern form of Esau's arsenal? The ICBMs, the nuclear missiles. And that's ultimately what they're going to be doing their ultimate killing with. That's pretty much their ultimate weapon. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Right? Because just knowing this, as an elect man, Lord wills we're the elect. I mean, that's just knowing that our enemy is going to go ultimately into captivity and be destroyed. That's extremely comforting. That's, in essence, as part of the gospel, the good news. So this is Jeremiah 30 and 16, or Jeremiah 13 and 16. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. Alright, so it's funny because Esau Edom wants to accomplish what ultimately is going to happen to Israel. We're going to basically have a one world government under Yahweh Bashim Shai. And our king is going to be, well, yeah, the king of kings is going to be Yahweh Shai Mashiach. But on the earth, it's going to be Malak Dawadad. On down. In righteousness. True peace and security. Not this left-handed carnal shit. I mean, how do you think Esau's going to implement peace and security? With the sword, man. That's not true. What is the scripture? If they say peace and safety, war is in their hearts. Promoting peace. So, man, they're basically outlining that they're the devil and that they're going to do exactly what the scriptures say they're going to do. Exactly to a T. Alright, but going back to Jeremiah 30 and 16, man. So even though this is all just prophecy, all this global, this isn't Esau's plans. These are Yahweh Shai's plans. So ultimately Esau's going to get devoured. Every adversary of Israel, which happens to be every other nation. And then the funny thing is we have infighting. That's why we have 2/3 of our nation, and they have to go as well. Every one of them, it says. All right, but 2/3, instead of going into captivity, they're going to be destroyed on this side and come back in their right state of mind. But as for every other nation, they're going to go into captivity. The heathen nations will be tributaries, and they'll pay tribute, and they're going to be under our law. And if they fuck up in one iota of the law, man, they get fucked up, man. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil. That lines up with Revelation 13 and 10. And all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey, right? Because ultimately we're going to own everything through the power of Yahweh Shai in order. 1 Corinthians 14 and 40. Let everything be done decently and in order. So with that, I hope y'all were edified. Shalom.